Okay, let us call to order the August 21st, 2025 Hood River Urban Renewal Advisory Committee meeting. A reminder, everyone, to silence your cell phones. Do we have today any business from the audience? Well, I saw that we got some testimony, written testimony, and the person who submitted it said that she might not be able to be at the meeting, so I'm just checking to see if she is online or anything like that. Okay.
Yeah, you all should have received that public testimony in your email, and then I think you might have hard copies up there.
No.
No?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So do we, should we discuss? We can address it when we get to that item on the agenda. Okay. Okay, well, we will get to that when we get to that section. Next, do we have any agenda additions or corrections?
No, we do not.
Okay. Approval of meeting minutes. Look, we have a full house today, so we get to actually approve them. From the last couple meetings, I personally did not see anything in there that seemed out of order. So no corrections to that. Motion to accept, the meeting minutes from what days? I'm sorry, I didn't actually print those out.
March, April.
Okay, March, April, June. Okay, would you like to propose a motion? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, great. Second, to approve the meeting minutes?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes? Aye, okay, approved unanimously. I will sign them when we're done. Next,
For those of you not used to being up at the dais, and for the two people that are watching on television, you got the on off and then keep the mic like an inch from your mouth kind of thing. So
hard to hear.
I sort of bend it forward and then just when I speak, I do that.
No, I think we're good for now.
Okay.
But going forward, if you have anything substantive to say. Okay, next up is the regular business items. Will, I will let you take it from here.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Hoffman and members of the advisory committee. First up is West Side performance and equity metrics. Let me share my screen. Great. So you might remember this from last fall. Part of kind of our ongoing work to put together a 5-year action plan, which will become it's taking longer than expected to put together as other kind of hot items take precedence. But once we have a 5-year action plan, we'll keep that as a living document, updating it every year, looking out an additional 5 years. So I'm not so worried that it's taking some time to put together because I want it to be kind of really well developed and something that we get a lot of traction out of. But one of the steps in that 5-year action plan is to set our performance and equity metrics for the West Side District. One, as a way to kind of hold ourselves accountable, track our progress, but also as a communication tool to the overlapping taxing districts that are foregoing some property tax growth to fund our efforts, and to the public at large to kind of know what is it that we're intending to affect, sort of in their day-to-day experience of Hood River by our investments. So that's the goal with this. And we took the input from the advisory committee last fall, worked with the consultants some more, and have a table in your packet showing how the list of metrics have changed, what remained, what got removed, and one measure got added. And so I wanted to run through them with you tonight in this kind of more developed form. I've also presented them to the Columbia Area Transit Board and the Parks Board this week, and I'm going to present them to the School District Board next week. I chose those entities because their mission areas overlap with some of the investment targets in the West Side District. So I wanted to get their input as well before taking all the input back to the agency board for these to get finally adopted. And the idea is once they get adopted, then we'll track them every year, report on them in our annual report going forward. So without further ado, so we have now quantifiable metrics with exceptional, good, and poor performance identified for our plan goal areas of transportation, housing, and parks. And then we also have equity in there to monitor and make sure that as we make all these investments, we don't have unintended consequences of perhaps displacing or displacing people who maybe get as place becomes more attractive and more affordable, we want to make sure that we keep it a place that everyone can enjoy. So I'll start with the metric of taxable value growth, which is really spans all of the areas. And if we're not growing taxable value faster than it would have grown otherwise, we're really not doing our job, and we're not creating tax increment growth that really funds everything else. So if we can't catalyze growth, then we're really missing the mark. So the West Side District has been growing, taxable value has been growing about 4.5% over the last decade. And that's barely higher than the 3% that it would grow just naturally under measures 5 and 50. So that means growth has been pretty morbid in that area. So the exceptional target is set on what the waterfront district was able to achieve, and that's 15% average annual growth rate. The poor would be having no effect at all. And then the good is just basically splitting the difference, which is probably most likely given that the waterfront was a really special case. Stop me at any point with questions. So getting into transportation, which is really going to be, I think, the key to catalyzing the development of the West Side. This is the one I think that has the greatest nexus to taxable value growth. And so first is addressing the unfunded transportation system plan identified roadways on the West Side. So they're all listed there. If we were to get all those done by the projected lifespan of the district, we'd be averaging 400 feet of new roadway per year. And so that's essentially what the graph would look like. And so we'll track like the blue line year after year, we'll track and we'll see whether or not we're hitting that the green line, yellow line, or red line.
I have a question. Overall, if we get to a point and we're only hitting poor, let's say, worst case
Yes.
scenario on the metrics, what happens? We just give up?
No, so I think that's another use of the tools is say one plan goal area is hitting all green and one's hitting all red. That's a really good communication tool back to us that maybe we need to shift our priorities a bit and shift our funding focus. So say we're just building tons of roads, but housing affordability is getting out of whack. Well, maybe we need to pull back on road infrastructure and focus more on that next affordable housing complex.
All right, thank you.
So it seems to me that some of these are going to be just developer driven and some more strategic. And if I would hate to see that we had, Blackberry Drive gets built out just because they have to, and us say, well, we met our exceptional goal. We don't need to do alignment D, which is really the big strategic thing on the besides the traffic circle in the transportation plan. So which unlocks, Stonehenge and other places. So how do we? I guess my expectation was to say that we needed prioritization, not by feet, but by
project.
yeah, more milestone than progress. I don't disagree with having this be tracked, but I would hate to 5 years from now say, look how good we did when we didn't do what we really need to do.
I'm going to add to that, Mark. I think that is being addressed pretty well. The categorization of what development happens and why, in what order already. With that very thing in mind, but this is meant to be a really general overview of the plan, so that it's digestible for everyone. Am I wrong, Will?
Yeah, I think it's a great comment and very valid. And to your point, Mark, like our top priority is going to be Mount Adams roundabout. Like that's the most critical project for opening up the development potential of the west side. Like that's the biggest bang for the buck and very first priority. But it won't move this needle on this particular measure at all when we build it. Hopefully, if that has all the effects that we hope that it will have, you will see it in the other measures. And we have, 12 different measures.
That's sort of what you're saying, Clint, like, okay, we're gonna want to open this development, near the school district property, and that's gonna require D to happen. It'll sort of just be pulled along, right?
Yes.
I agree with that too.
Great question.
And safety is a huge component of the West Side Plan. And so we struggled to get a good handle on this. And the best we could come up with was crashes, which everyone agrees is a safety measure. Doesn't maybe address the feeling of safety, or maybe how many people choose to bike, maybe don't choose to bike and don't choose to be out there walking because they don't feel safe. But you can't measure a feeling. And we do have really good crash data. So we have that measure. And it was down we had 10 crashes in the boundary of the West Side District in 2021, which is obviously pandemic driven. When there's fewer people driving, you have fewer crashes. And as we build more roads and as more people live in the West Side, you would seem to just, all else held equal, have more crashes because you have more people moving around. But hopefully this stays. That will be the challenge with this one, is trying to keep it down as low as possible by focusing on safety investments while we grow. Moving into housing. So one is just dwelling units permitted by year, any and all. The constructability analysis we did last year estimated that the west side could hold an additional 1,270 units under current zoning. We've been averaging an additional 3 units per year for the past decade. So that line is the number of dwelling units on the west side, and that little bump you see in 2011 wasn't market driven. That was Hood River Crossing. So that was a affordable housing development. So if we are on track to build out by 2052, we would need to start averaging 45 units per year.
Belmont wasn't it's not in the district.
Which one's Belmont?
Where Mike Kitts built 30 houses and is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Some of this is a little chicken or the egg because we did draw the lines where there isn't development. So, but we know that even if development really does pick up, the market isn't ever going to provide housing affordable at that 60% area median income. So we also have the goal to produce more regulated affordable housing. And the exceptional goal here, I believe, is based on the Department of Land Conservation and Development target for what they think that Hood River needs over this time period to serve that level of income. So there's 48 units in the west side already. We'll get another 130 when Mariposa Village opens up, but then it will be on us to get more in the pipeline in order to meet these additional targets and out years.
Well, quick question. A couple times you've mentioned kind of why the expectation is set where it is, but the sources for that. Is that documented somewhere else?
Yes, and,
develop, 'cause that's super helpful context for interpreting these. I just wanted to make sure it was kind of tied to this.
yes, I have a big Excel spreadsheet with all the data sources and notes. Yeah. Mhm.
I think having that, if it's possible to work some of that into this in the future, I think it kind of grounds these numbers
Oh, okay.
in a way
Yeah.
that is helpful.
Okay. Next up is a measure of housing of attainability, affordability. And so this is looking at median home value compared to median household income. And a real estate kind of rule of thumb, no magic to it, is that 3 to 1 to 6 to 1 is a comfortable place to be purchasing a house. Matter, interest rates matter, property taxes matter, all that matters, but it's kind of a industry rule of thumb. We were under 6 to 1 in 2012, but Hood River hit a peak of unaffordability in 2022 when the median home value was 710,000, but the median household income was only 70,000. So hopefully we will be impacting this if we're able to drive supply. This measure is the average square footage of new homes being built on the west side. This really relates to our middle housing construction incentive and tracking whether or not that's having any impact. So exceptional, this one is based on the average home size in 1990 and at 2,000 square feet. And as of the last 5 years, we've been averaging 2,600 square feet over on the west side. And not saying that people shouldn't have big houses or that big houses are better or worse than small houses. Just saying that over the whole population of what's getting built, a small house is relatively less expensive than a big house, both in the price and in the cost to heat and cool. So then moving into parks and trails. So as we spark development and as we ensure that development is affordable for everyone to have a place, we want to make sure that we don't lose sight also of the high quality of life that Hood River is known for. So we are also budgeting for investments in parks and trails. So the first measure is taking directly from the multi-jurisdictional parks master plan. That was a master plan spearheaded by the Parks Board, but signed on to by the school district, the city, the county, the Parks Board, and I think the port too, but I'm not sure. Do you know, Mark? Maybe. Yeah. But it had the goal of everyone being within a half-mile walk shed of a park. And so that's not as the crow flies, but that's literally as you can walk on this roadway network to get to a park. And so right now, the west side, 34% of the west side is within a half-mile walk shed of a park. And we have those two yellow stars you see are park target areas identified in the Parks Master Plan. When I presented this to the Parks Board, they thought that maybe we should remove the West Side Park because it hasn't been developed yet. It's only been purchased.
So I was on the rewrite committee for that plan and have been a parks person. The half-mile thing was sort of the bare minimum. It wasn't a sort of this is our goal. The goal was each neighborhood would have some kind of open space and connected by trails, and there's language about that. And we talked a lot about, instead of 2 being in this area, it's more like 4 little ones might service it better. So I'm a little hesitant to say this is the goal if it makes us lose track of what we really wanted to do. Does that make sense? How do we write a performance indicator that has sort of a implementation goal versus just a metric kind of thing? That's my question. And then also Henderson Park, which does have a little star on it, is really not much. I mean, it shouldn't have a star on it. It's fine.
Question about that west West Star at the bottom of Frankton, I guess, where the church slash school.
This one? No.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
that one. Is that north of the school or what land is that? Because it drops down into that wetland, is more or less undevelopable.
Yeah, don't take that as like exact GPS coordinates of where the park.
That's why the question, yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, where would a star be to fill the rest of the area in within a half mile, I think. So, yeah, is it a reasonable
It's a locus.
place
Yeah,
A
it's
central
like a
circle.
map sort of.
versus
Yeah,
you want to have the parks where the people are, right? So,
So, but that wetland that's along Country Club, the bottom of Country Club and the flat down there, which be a fabulous place for a park, right?
yeah. Mhm.
Wouldn't really cost anything to do either,
It's hard to, yeah, and hard to build on because it is a wetland.
but a park can
But a park would
flood,
be
you know,
fine.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, we'll be opportunity driven, where we can put the parks, we're not gonna be, hey, that wasn't exactly where the star was, kind of a deal. To your point, Mark, I think it's similar to the transportation thing is implementation will be kind of in our project prioritization. This is more outcome, just the best we can do as far as general, if we do X, you should see Y.
yeah, I don't have a performance indicator to offer. Maybe you're within 0.2 miles of a trail network that connects parks or something like that.
Well, let me get to the next one because I think it might address your concern or what you're getting at. Is trail to connectivity is the next one. And maybe not as I can see, maybe it's about how well they connect versus just the number of feet, but have here all the TSP identified trails, and that we'd be on track to get them all done if we added 490 feet of trails per year. Understand an unconnected footed trail isn't as valuable as a connected footed trail. But does this kind of,
Yeah, this map is consistent with my understanding. I will say that the north-south trail, quote, through Maley subdivision, that 25th or whatever that is, purple one it's really 4 feet of asphalt, 2 feet from houses on either side. So I don't know if that counts or not, but
oh, I didn't count that one.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't count it either as needing to be done or being done. It was,
It's a purple line on
Yeah.
here.
yeah, sorry, I only counted the ones that had TSP numbers associated with them.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good plan. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. And so, yeah, I counted, what is this one called? The one that goes through the school district property. Counted that as done because it's secured by an easement.
Sure. West Side Community Trail.
Yeah. And then we have Mariposa Village will give us a few hundred, if not maybe over 1,000 feet of additional park or trails. Great. So that's what the graph looks like. Okay, then getting into equity. So again, this is monitoring as we do all this focused public investment on the west side, making sure that we don't inadvertently displace or displace any folks. So one is looking at income dispersion. So this is looking at the average household income to the typical household income, or the mean to the median. And so if you have a few outliers, a few super high income households, that can bring up your average income of your city without changing the median, because the median is just half make less, half make more. So I'm calling that the typical. So back in 2012, the average household income was only 20% higher than the median or typical. And that has been significantly skewed where now in 2022, average income was 50% higher than the typical income. And that dotted line there is the United States, since the United States is about 40% higher. So we used to be in 2012 as a community much more normally distributed in our incomes. Then we basically lined up with the United States, and now we are more skewed towards higher incomes than the United States as a whole in the last couple of years. And so if we hopefully are successful in creating a place for all income types to have on the West Side, maybe that should have a positive influence on this measure. Next up is home ownership. And I wanted to, this one is one I'm actually recommending that we remove after thinking about it and presenting it to the Parks Board and the CAP Board. Really didn't land. Got a lot of like kind of cricking the necks, like, huh? I think it's maybe one or two steps too far removed from maybe the action. But we had in here that kind of a rule of thumb, again, no magic to it, but just a kind of real estate rule of thumb that 65% is a normal settled neighborhood. And so right now the West Side, measured by the number of people who receive their property tax statement at their subject property rather than offsite at another property, indicating it's probably an investor owned, would indicate that 43% of the West Side is owner and 57% is renter. And so the idea would be to move closer and closer to 65% home ownership over time if people are more able to buy on the West Side. But again, I think this got confused with like favoring ownership over renting, and then just opening up discussions around movements of capital and capitalism. And it just seemed like it was kind of a distraction. So if everyone's okay, I think I'll remove this one.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I imagine there are a whole bunch of other factors that would affect that percentage anyway that we are like unrelated, I
Yeah.
would think. So,
And that's what it was, opening up like debates about things totally unrelated to
Yeah.
urban renewal. So
yeah.
it seemed like a distraction. The next up is, if we make sure that there's a place for everyone who wants to be in Hood River, can be here. Hopefully we will see, a diversity of household age types. And so I looked at just percentage of population that is school aged or younger, so 0 to 19. It's been going down everywhere, just general demographics. But Hood River, it's kind of been a hallmark of Hood River that we've had younger folks than the rest of Oregon as a whole. I think Benton County is the only average younger county than Hood River. But as more folks who grow up here can't stay here in their household formation years, that starts to then result in fewer and fewer children as people put roots down elsewhere. And so this is monitoring to make sure we kind of stay well above the state average. And then lastly, this is the singular measure that does not have a goal. It's just looking at the number of economically disadvantaged students, which is an indicator for the number of economically disadvantaged households on the West Side Elementary versus Main Street Elementary. And we don't want to have a target for we want a certain number of people to be economically disadvantaged, but we do want to monitor that if there's any big divergence, maybe between the east side and west side of Hood River. Want to make sure that we pull that thread and make sure it's not something that we're impacting negatively with our actions. Then this is the dashboard, everything red and yellow, which is why we started a West Side Urban Renewal District. So hopefully these will start to progressively turn more towards green over the years. I did want to note one other piece of good feedback I got from the Columbia Area Transit is safe routes to school projects on the west side. Looking at the number of those that are completed. And I thought that was a really great idea. It fits right with our safety goal that's built into the West Side Plan. I believe we need to wait until the Safe Routes to School Plan is fully adopted and incorporated into our transportation system plan. And then it's eligible for West Side Urban Renewal funding. But I just wanted to bring that up here, that I'll keep an eye on that. And I think that would be a great measure to maybe add on to this at a later time.
The Heights plan should certainly have safe routes.
Oh, it's totally intertwined in, yeah, the Heights Plan.
Well, on slide 23, you talked about 15% being an exceptional rate that was achieved by one of our districts.
Yes,
And what district was that again?
the waterfront.
And what about Columbia Cascade? What has that done?
That one is hard to know because it started in 1983, I believe, and the tax structure in Oregon was completely different. And tax records will be hard to find. So I haven't done the analysis on how quickly the Columbia Cascade grew. Because it really becomes apples to oranges in the various decades. Yeah.
I was just curious.
Mhm.
Any other comments? Feel good about this? Okay,
Yeah,
Well-
I think it's a helpful snapshot of what's going on in the district from multiple perspectives.
okay. Well, we have a suggested motion at the end of the section here. To, well, this is a stupid question that I should know the answer to. I'm not supposed to make the motion because I'm the chair.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I just felt like I was making everybody else do stuff. Do we have a motion to go with this
Yeah.
metrics?
That's the perfect way to do it.
Yeah,
And maybe add that second one with the recommendation to remove the owner occupied, just to memorialize kind of the decision.
Mhm.
So we made just the one change is the lack of removal of home ownership. Does
Yeah.
that Need to reflect that in a motion.
I think it would be good to document it, and also maybe document if you support adding the safe routes to school, like a safe routes to school measure.
All right, I move the Urban Renewal Advisory Committee recommended adoption of the West Side School District Performance and Equity Metrics as presented with a couple little modifications, the removal of house ownership metric and the addition of safe routes to school mention.
Excellent.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye, all right. Unanimously approved.
So, great.
Next up, the review of publicly owned parcels.
Yeah, I just wanted to come with an update on this project and did quite a bit of additional research, and we also completed our phase 1 environmental site assessments for each one of the publicly owned parcels that we talked with you about 3 months ago, I think. So I have in here additional information and then also some potential ideas for utilization. And this is just any feedback or recommendations that you want to give to the Urban Renewal Advisory Committee or City Council. This might be going straight to City Council because they're all city-owned properties. But I've been taking the lead on it because if we sell or develop, it may generate revenue that way then we'd put to use on the west side. And it's basically all just intertwined with our housing goals over on the West Side District. So first up is the Sherman property. This is where we have the State Street lot, city permit parking. And then just undeveloped up on the upper side, which is on the south end of the property. So found that we purchased that in 1984 for a city parking lot. We never had any other idea for it. It had been a parking lot before that, I think, for the Eagles, and then someone else, and then we bought it from a couple. And we improved it in the mid-'80s. And then we improved it some more during the State Street downtown urban renewal project. I saw we already at one point shaved off a 12-foot wide strip along the east side of the property, which I think kind of indicates that even from when we first bought it, we only cared about the parking lot. The phase one ESA did not pulled up that downtown has had many intensive uses, lots of gas stations, mechanics, things like that that could create environmental impacts, but they were all below elevation for this. So potential ideas for how it could support housing is partition it and just sell the lower 2/3 and use that money to support investments on the west side. Similarly, we sold 2 other parcels that we owned on Sherman a couple of years ago, just a year ago. And that money was used and helped with pre-development on Mariposa Village quite a bit. So that would be kind of the ideas. Fund the Affordable Housing Reserve Fund by selling off some of this. Or we could try to develop it ourselves directly through an RFQ, RFP process. Just put it out and say, 99-year lease, free land. We want to affect housing, maintain parking, support environmental stewardship, state what our goals are and just let the development community come back with proposals. Could be another way to proceed. Any questions on this parcel before I move on?
None? Okay.
Next one is the Columbia lot. It was interesting to see maps going all the way back to when this was an orchard. But then it's since been a lumber yard, creamery, fruit packing, cold storage, warehousing. It's burned down twice. And the most recent time it burned down is when it got turned into a parking lot and then deeded over to the city. It was owned by the port and deeded to the city for the only compensation on the title lists promise to build parking garage. So this would be one where, again, the value of the land, we could enter into a public-private partnership to build housing. We would likely have to include the requirement to net increase the amount of public parking and through the building of a parking garage in order to meet the title requirements, unless the port let us off the hook on that. Also, after looking at this, I realized we should probably include the Cascade lot if we were to do something. So we do it all at once with the 3 parcels instead of 2 parcels, so that developers could come and have the most creative, kind of widest latitude to propose creative solutions. So, and because it did have fires and had such intensive use as a phase 2 environmental site assessment, has been recommended and also approved for grant funding. So we're going to go do soil tests on this parcel. Any questions on this one?
You're not looking for a URAC recommendation with Columbia lot, are you? Or
You could tell me this is a 3rd rail, don't touch it, it's gonna blow up.
in the downtown urban renewal district is probably going to be, I mean, we talked about at least funding a business plan for a public, private, or some other way to do a structure, and most likely on that lot. Are we going to have money to do that?
No, but that is very much well, building a parking garage is in the downtown plan. Yeah.
And just for y'all, how many spots? The parking study done now 6 years ago or so said that we needed 160 new spots or something like, that's the number that sticks in my head besides what's in downtown.
Do you know how many parking spaces are on that surface lot now?
Somewhere between 100 and 200. I could get the actual number.
I mean, it was well over 15 years ago that the number per slot was given for the parking garage purchase price. I remember it was $17,000 per space.
Yeah.
I figure that's at least double now.
Well,
If
when
not
we did
triple.
the parking committee, it was 60.
60, yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, that's more realistic. But that said, there is obviously no other glowing red hot button in the middle of downtown that could be parking on this lot, so it's the place for it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it could go 4 stories, I suppose, but please.
45, I think, is the limit, but that's really a planning department question.
There's 3 stories, it
Yeah,
pretty much triple,
yeah,
increases the parking by 200% there, so.
yeah. Interestingly, so we have what we call the 85% rule that we, in our parking study, where if we hit 85% occupancy, we increase the price. So all our other lots, we've been jumping up the price because they keep selling out, and we recently increased the price of on-street parking because we had above 85% occupancy. Columbia lot's been undersold. It's less than $1 a day to have a permit there, and we still have permits available. It's not a, people don't like parking there. Yeah.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah.
All right. Next.
This slide is over on the north side of I-84, on West Cliff. I think it's maybe a remnant, or like used to be part of Morrison Park before it was bisected by I-84. We purchased it in 1930. Do I have it in there? In the 1930s. And I've been meaning to dig into that to see why we purchased it. But the city council declared it surplus once before in 1985, and referred to it as the city auto park in the meeting minutes. And I guess it didn't sell at that time, but back then it was zoned R1. Now it's currently zoned open space public facilities. But it is relatively flat. It's kind of undulating, but very buildable, not served by sewer. Maybe we could get sewer underneath I-84, but otherwise it'd have to be septic systems and pretty low density. But we'd have to put it out to a vote due to the charter amendment. I think because it is zoned, it's kind of, I think that's park. Maybe it's arguable, but we'd be safe if we put it to a vote. And maybe something to do with it would be to partner with a local land trust to see if they could build a few houses on it, and maybe that would also gain support if we did have to put it on the ballot.
I think that's a great idea.
Traveling east from that rectangle, where is the first intersection of sewer? Is it
Nowhere east.
plant?
Oh, yeah, way over. I think you'd have to cross a creek before you got there. Yeah.
What came to my mind first was this could this be a trade with ODOT site to get their current the Cascade Avenue one. When we talked to them about it, and you referenced that in the thing, they were looking at there's ODOT property sort of straight above the waste treatment plant about
Yeah.
half a mile further east from where this square is.
Oh, it's not even half a mile. It's actually, I'll pull up on a map exactly where they were.
Sort of up at the freeway level, actually. Yeah, right. And we thought that was pretty neat, but there was the $7 million to do it. And then my other question, Will, is I thought that we owned just to the east of this picture. I thought that there was a piece of city-owned land along that road going down to the railroad.
Yep, down here.
Yeah.
Yes, so that could be involved in this too. I just went with the one that was flat.
Yeah, that one is very not flat, but does it have, but does it have a value?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that one just seems so much harder than this one. I figured look at this one first. But I could add the other property as well.
So I mean, and you mentioned this, like look for things that are commercially or housing appropriate. I think looking for things that are parks and open space appropriate too is, and that sort of that little valley just to the east of the 100 thing is if we ever do the long talked about little bridge over to the Hook and the trail from Morrison can connect down there, that could be a good little
Mhm.
thing to pull into it. I mean, I'm not going to sign up to do it tomorrow, but
Yeah,
so even little weird pieces can have value to connect
Mhm.
trails or something like that. So just in general.
yeah, that's a great point. I mean, so the origin of this project was kind of Mariposa Village 2.0. So definitely I've been looking at it that lens, but that's a good point because yeah, more parks is also part of our charge. Okay. Next up is this site over on the historic highway, kind of at the trailhead for the Mosier Twin Tunnels. Thought that maybe that could be a campground, and then found out from the police department that they were like got all excited, and they've been wanting a campground in town for I guess quite a long time because Sprinter vans come and park on the streets, and they said it would be really convenient to have someplace close to tell them that they could go to. But I don't think it's going to be this one.
What's
Uh,
the access to it?
There's a road that goes up. There's a roadway. So it used to be a quarry. It appears pretty clearly it used to be a quarry.
Oh, this is near Tom McCall.
Mhm.
Got it.
Mhm. Up the hill.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
It'll get busy with cyclists.
Oh, yeah. And I've always thought it's such a shame that the public can't access it, and because it's so cool. Then while we were there doing the environmental site assessment, I saw people going in and out the whole time we were there. So even illegally and not allowed to, but certainly is being used. But yeah, I don't think we're ever going to be able to make it publicly accessible. They saw just numerous dump sites, and it looks like we bought it in 1944, and then I see in 1983, I came up across. I was trying to find out. I was looking at the mid 80s because that's when we got the State Street lot, but I just ended up getting little nuggets about all the other ones too. I mentioned in 1983 that we had leased it out for storage of a rock, and that was referred to as the city dump property. So I think for decades and decades and decades, it's been kind of a dump, supposed to dump things.
And it's State Park just to the east of that.
Yep, and then National Forest, well, maybe BLM, no, National Forest, I think, to the west.
And the Hood River's gravel pit.
Yeah. So it'd be a cool campsite, but I don't think the campsite could ever be economically viable enough to handle all of the remediation that would need to be done on the site, fortunately. So I recommend kind of just forgetting this one for another 20 years.
I have an issue with the same challenge.
What's that?
Privately owned.
Oh, yeah, it's really old junk and like maybe pesticides and have to clear it all out. Yeah.
What does it cost to say, hey, I got this thing and it's zone whatever, and it's to see if the market would be interested in it?
How's that?
Oh,
It can't be anywhere. I mean, all along the old highway was a mess, right?
yeah, and you mean just to surplus it and see if anyone would want to pay anything for it?
Mhm.
Zoned public recreation open space in the National Scenic Area? Maybe.
It's more like this is the perfect campground for old highways. Give us several $1 billion.
Oh, maybe grant fund the remediation.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is it to go fishing as opposed to just not do anything? I guess that's the.
Yeah, I might let a nonprofit or something like that who gets really excited about that maybe lead the charge on. I don't know.
You know,
Mhm. Yeah. But as far as supporting affordable housing in Hood River,
Mm-mm.
I don't think this has a role to play. Now we're getting into the sites that we don't own. So the school district property, we don't control it, but you know, if we did, that is, I think the linchpin to the West Side District is just where all the roads cross. It's the biggest single parcel on the west side, totally undeveloped. The school districts got in 2009. You know, as we saw, they've just been seeing declining enrollment ever since. But it's kind of left them just not knowing what they want to do with it and not wanting to cut off any of their options, be it for an elementary school, middle school, or high school. Klein, and they did ask Klein and Associates to look at the property, and they did this kind of pro bono level of effort to site test fit the middle school on it. You can see it, it's not all usable. There is definitely some elevation challenges, but possibly some additional land as well. So unfortunately, I think it's kind of, you just have to wait until the school district is interested in working with us, and then we can encourage them to do more site planning and maybe help with that work too. But they're just not ready to do that.
The transportation plan, I just remember years ago at one time that road from used to come up straight up to Belmont. Now it's kicking over to the the approximate, where it says approximate location of future roadway. I remember when that was first proposed, it was coming straight up to Belmont. And it was going through the school district property.
Yeah,
And
no,
I remember commenting that that's probably gonna be problematic. But at the time, it was thought of as the way to get the trucks that are servicing the upper valley to get to the upper valley, especially in the winter, so they're not climbing up 13th.
Mhm.
This was gonna be the truck route.
Yep.
All of a sudden I see it years later, that road sort of just peels off to the east, and it looks like, I guess it was D or something on that previous map that dash line came up, but you have to kind of drive all around to get to the start of it.
Yeah, so I think the truck route now is going even all the way over to Frankton and then taking Frankton or Country Club.
Which is
Mhm.
kind of existing
Yep.
and out of the way, I guess, for trucks. That want to just go up past Windmaster and
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
anything on that side of the Hood River is best access through 35, Highway 35.
well, okay, but in the winter, we get these trucks sliding down the hill trying to get
Oh,
up,
yeah.
13th. Anyway, I
Yeah.
just remember that when that first got sketched, it was like, oh, this is the
Truck route.
truck route to get off of 13th.
That's probably back when there was no wine country and this was the road that connected.
No,
No?
it was, it came off that corner above the AV supply store, just like that.
Hmm.
And I remember Cindy sketching it up. That was like my only involvement. Then I disappeared and I came back and I see it kind of started and it stopped.
The dotted line is called alignment D because there was an A and a B and a C that were also studied and they are sort of some of these other lines. And they were
Happened.
not as good for one reason or another. Yeah.
Yeah, that dotted line is like 20% steeper than the chicanes on Country Club too. That's a real grade.
Mhm.
It is steep.
Yeah. Yes, I don't have any next steps for that one.
Well, I
And
remember when the school district bought that too, the other thing that seemed odd was but it wasn't their first choice, but it was, I guess their first choice was kitty corner from West Side, which seemed like two school properties right next to each other. It was what was sort of available.
Well, I thought the point down here that the site's much larger than any of the existing schools, which kind of implies there's room for something else, is a really good one. You haven't, I think sound like you're wrapping that up saying basically the ball's in their court. They're not interested in doing anything. I get that they own the property, but given that there is a lot of room there, like, can a conversation be started now?
Yeah, I've asked them. I told them that if they would commit to putting any excess land, if any excess is found, not assuming there is anything, but if they would commit to providing excess land for housing, that I would recommend to the agency that we pay for site planning to find out. But that was a bridge too far even for them.
Do we know if West Side, when it gets developed, what we're adding to the school population and whether or not
They don't know, that's part of the problem. They don't know whether or not they're gonna need a elementary school or a middle school or what, so they kind of don't wanna tie their hands in any way. You know? It's sad because it's a little chicken or the egg, right? We have declining enrollment because people can't move here and we don't have land to build houses because we're saving land for schools. Another one where I don't really have next steps, but it was good to look at is the county property just south of Hood River Crossing. No, there used to be a house on it, but no environmental issues found. Seems totally, other than it being challenging topography and not connected to a roadway. It's totally clean property. So just again, I don't have any next steps. It's just once it's the neighbors want to develop and we can make something pencil, maybe we can get involved with helping to pay for that road. But it's gonna have to be driven by the site owners.
No idea about the parcel that's been graded flat just east of this current green
This over here?
shape. Yeah, no, the other way.
Oh, east.
Yeah,
No, so no.
this
Mhm.
tree.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's big enough for that school too.
Yeah. it is.
That's too.
Okay. No
Great.
comments on the last one. Thank you. I think they're in a good order of viability
Mhm.
in here too. Okay. Next up is Taylor Avenue right of way situation.
Yeah, so I want to make you aware of a situation, and basically take your pulse. I don't have it's a little nebulous, so just, kind of bear with me. I don't have a clear solution or alternatives. We're kind of at the just problem identification stage. So the Klein survey that underpinned the heights misidentified the width of Taylor Avenue as 60 feet when it is really only 55 feet. And so what you see there is the design in the Heights Streetscape plan. And it jogged around what is a stairway coming out of a basement apartment over there on the right side of the apartment complex. And the thought was, well, we'll just jog around that because we just don't want to like surface an issue of having to demolish someone's door, but it is our right of way. And then we now have found out through the 30% design that the reason why that stairway is there because it is their property. It is not ours.
The
Um,
13th on the left.
yes. Yeah, so essentially what we can do is not have that jog, just go straight like it would have, and have the cycle track go through all those parking spaces and lose those parking spaces. So it's 3 parking spaces, there's several hundred in the Heights. But I remember when we did the parking study, this is the most highly parking impact area. This is where the highest demand is for parking in the area. So mhm.
Sorry, on that street specifically.
No, more like
Just
Pine Street Bakery is
Oh,
ground zero.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So if we're okay losing those 3 parking spaces, then we're off to the races. I have contacted all the property owners to see kind of their interest in maintaining those spaces by allowing us to have a few additional feet of right of way. I've gotten a hold of a couple of people who, but no answers from anyone, and then one person I haven't been able to get a hold of. But I don't think that we should wait too long, because we do have the ODOT's requirement to put all the ADA ramps in by 2031, or our requirement if we're going to do it locally by 2029 hanging over our heads, that we have to get as many streetscape projects done as possible if we don't want to be ripping out brand new installed curb ramps. So I don't think going through like an eminent domain process or protracted property negotiations is probably advisable. It is a possibility that we could maybe turn those parking spaces on the north side, make them compact spaces. And then instead of a protected two-way cycle track, we just do a kind of extra wide shared use path. Show you what that looks like. It's like something like this. This is in Portland, and this is kind of like just a big wide sidewalk that's supposed to be used by both bikes and pedestrians. And so it would be maybe a way to save the parking and stay within 55 feet of right of way. But it's certainly not the same level of amenity for the bikers.
I was gonna suggest exactly that, and to change, because it's a one-way, change the parking to back end diagonal, just on the one side. I don't know that that gains or loses space. Potentially it adds parking spaces, but it might lose you width of the road, so. Especially for long cars, like with less. Their vans and stuff.
All right, could you do the suggestion about the compact parking, but combine that with Clint's?
Potentially, if you made a compact diagonal back end parking, you could potentially double the amount of parking on that road, even though it's one way and it would just be on one side of the street.
Yeah.
And then have a oversized 8-stripe shared sidewalk for kids on their bikes and scooters. And
Yeah.
that's a heavily trafficked street, which comes right to Jody's letter.
Oh, yes, this is the comment,
Mhm.
the public comment that we got is related to this and wanting to keep the north sidewalk intact. Yeah.
Well, looking at the cross section, there's a 3-foot separation from the parking to the cycle track. Is that just a safety buffer or?
Yeah, I think that if there wasn't parking on the north side, that wouldn't be needed, but that's for car doors. Mhm.
The All Heights plan pretty much said that it's safer to have separated bike and vehicle spaces. So this is reflecting that.
Contrary to some of the other comments, I'm not a big fan of compact parking spaces. I've seen too many big trucks, big vehicles crammed into a 1 or 2 compact spaces. I don't think they work very well myself. I would
Like a
lean.
code enforcement problem,
I have
perhaps?
to be with that. Yeah, it's an enforcement thing. It never gets enforced, so it's.
I would lean towards the option getting rid of the 3 parking spaces.
I'm super pessimistic that we're gonna get that extra 5 feet back. So then I think your idea of losing those 3 and possibly if you lose the 3, would you not do the 16-foot shared thing or is that?
You would have more, we could go even wider if we lost because if losing the parking gets you 8 feet. We're in deficit by 5 feet right now, and so getting rid of that parking gives us 8 feet.
Everywhere I've ridden my bike in big cities, Portland, Seattle, Santa Fe, wherever there's a shared sidewalk, same level, a painted stripe for bikes or walkers and unpainted for the other.
But
It feels luxurious,
Mhm.
uh-huh.
safe and inviting and
Right.
feel protected and looked out for.
Yeah, even if it's on perfectly the same.
It's level, it's the
level.
difference is paint.
Uh-huh.
It's what's red or it's green, it's blue, whatever, the whole length. Or, that's designated, whatever.
Because it's keeping away from cars and that's.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're
that's
6
the big-
inches away from the level that the cars are at, and you're a paint stripe away from the people that are not doing what you're doing.
Mhm.
And it just feels like that looked after.
Mhm.
What? When Taylor Avenue crosses 12th and 13th, what did the plan have? Is there stoplights or something or rolling traffic?
There's like
Yeah,
flashing crosswalks.
yep, exactly. Pedestrian operated rapid flashing beacons.
A little,
So when you're coming on 12th or Taylor and you're riding your electric bike at top speed, you're gonna stop and push a button?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so that, so getting back to the point where they share a sidewalk, but I don't see the bikes on one little stretch of road getting fast enough to even scare the pedestrians too much. So it seems like they could share it pretty well.
Yeah, it's a slow street for pedestrians and bikes. It's a faster street for cars. The predominant traffic pattern is eastbound, doing the jog from Pine to Taylor. And that's fraught with danger just every time you do it.
Mhm.
So the people on Taylor Street in cars, they're gonna either turn down the hill to the right, or they have to, is there a light that stops them from turning left onto
No, there's just-
continuing towards the south?
Once we go to two-way traffic, people on Taylor will be able to turn left
Right.
or right. Mhm.
Right,
Yep.
but there's not a light for them,
Nope.
right.
it's just a stop.
There's that center lane thing if they're turning left. And then you have the circle at May, so I don't know if that makes it worse or better. But
Yeah.
we had actually answered questions like, yeah, there might be times of the year where you just have to turn right, go down to the circle and
Come back around.
come back.
Ideally,
Yeah.
I feel like ideally, when it's in practice, when the circle's done, and of course, this is a long way down the road, it'll make a whole lot more sense to go down and around the circle than it will be try to cross Taylor. Because right now you do Taylor so that you don't have to go get through two lights to get back to where you were, to go to Rosars or whatever. But it'll make a whole bunch more sense and be easier and quicker and safer for everybody to just go through the roundabout. Because it'll all just keeps moving.
Yeah.
That should eliminate the issue on Taylor, in my thought.
Sure, sure.
So do we have
Taylor
like a,
starts at 12 too, right? That's right, there's nothing.
No, it starts from zero.
Yeah, it starts right there.
Yeah, well, let me, I don't think I need a motion or anything like that. I just kind of,
Yeah.
this is like problem identification, but the point, I think you had the idea for diagonal parking. That was, I hadn't thought of that. So I'll bring that back to the consultants. I think what I'm looking for is just kind of head nods in my direction is I'm gonna like try to ask these folks if they'd be nice enough to give us a couple feet of right of way, but understanding that's probably slim to nil chance they'll want to do that. And so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. And I think where we're at is moving forward with 55 feet of right of way. And I'll ask the consultants to try to distill maybe 2 or 3 discrete alternatives, shared equal level path to save space, removing the parking to save space, diagonal parking to maybe add back parking. Ask them to maybe put together some alternatives and then we can have some public engagement, if that sounds good.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
I think that's a really nice start. Do we feel like we addressed Jody's questions? My thought when I read it is that most of her points have been addressed at length over the past several years. You can read back in the minutes and see all that, but better.
I think sticking to the plan is the important thing. I mean, if her thing is, well, it's not bad the way it is,
Yeah, I think there's listening to, new opinions and weighing them, but we always have to have respect for the amount, the sheer like heft of all the engagement that happened between 2021 and 2023. And sticking with the plan is respecting that engagement.
I guess the one point she made that I thought is relevant, but I'm sure it's been addressed. Is, I mean, I don't think she was writing that with the knowledge of the whole plan that's happening here at the side. But, when she talks about, storm drainage and that I assume it's just standard in the plan that we're going to make sure the water is
Yeah,
running off down into the storm sewer, not in.
I'll pull up the Heights Streetscape thing real quick, and show you how that's, yeah, here we go. So, where is it? We have a whole chapter on stormwater. Um,
All right, well, I think that when I read it, that's one, well, it's a good point, I'm sure.
yes. You have a whole chapter on character, and then here we are, stormwater. So we have pinpointed where all the opportunities for stormwater treatment are. Two of them are on Taylor.
Mhm.
And so we have kind of examples of what we're looking to do would be things kind of this, you know, passive treatment in an attractive looking way. So I think we'll touch on that a little bit with the 30% designs, but really get into that when we get to construction level drawings.
Yeah, I agree with her that we need to keep that as a goal as opposed to tossing it. So,
Absolutely.
Okay. Yay team. Will, and now you have some more updates for us.
Oh yeah, I'll try to make this quick.
Okay.
Jurisdictional transfer, we were unlucky with the legislature. Well, the entire state was unlucky in not getting a transportation package passed. So everything we're hearing is that this special session is just the bare bones to avoid ODOT layoffs, make sure that the roads get plowed this winter. And that there's no opportunity to get the jurisdictional transfer appropriations in there. So we're back to direct negotiations with ODOT, and we're actually meeting with them tomorrow. So I mean, with the Region 1 manager, see if we can get at least our very best deal for a direct negotiation, and then bring that to City Council as an option. Yeah. Heights Proportionate Share District, want to make sure, I think I talked about this, but we're looking at creating a proportionate share fee for people who put more developers who put more trips into the Heights. We have a proportionate share district for Second and Oak signalization. We had one for Rand and Cascade, and they work really well for developers because they have you can't under Oregon land use law, you have to have adequate public facilities in order to build. And so if you have a failed intersection down the street from your development, you're kind of stuck. You either have to create your own proportionate share methodology and have it, you know, made by a traffic engineer, and then we review it and argue about it. Or we can just set up a proportionate share district and give people basically an easy button towards land use approval. We got a grant to put this together because it is helpful for the Big River Community Land Trust is wanting to build over on, can't remember the church, but yeah, so they're going to put a lot of trips into the Heights. And they didn't want to create their own proportionate share methodology. And so we got a grant to do it for them, and we'll be able to pass that and just have it be established so that anyone can know, okay, here's the formula. I just write a check and I'm good to go. So it becomes a expedited route towards land use approval for the developer and becomes a source of revenue for the Heights Streetscape plan. Just want to know that a draft of that is done, and I plan to take it to the City Council in September. Not for adoption, but to explain it. And then if everyone's good with it, we'll bring it back for adoption in October.
Then are those fees then collected in a pool and then eventually, you know, almost like a parking in lieu fee or something like that?
Exactly. Yep. So when someone pays towards the Second and Oak signal, that money went towards paying for the second and oak signal. Wasn't enough, so we kind of owe money back for it, so we're still charging that fee until we do pay for second, and then once it's fully paid off, the fee gets retired. Yep. And then also just awareness that the city's preparing to go for a bond election in November 2026 to just meet unfunded needs of the city. We don't know, we have more needs than we have probably ability to get a bond done, so we're kind of working through all the projects right now with city council. I just wanted you to kind of have that awareness. Could be housing things involved in it. Could be. Yeah. Oh, and then I just also wanted to share a couple just interesting things I found while I was going through all the minutes for the
Yeah.
properties. The Heights used to have parking meters. We took them out in the 1980s. We did an RV park feasibility study in Morrison Park and then in about 1985 and found that a RV park developer did not want to develop it. And the city used to own the land that Rio Bella Affordable Housing Complex is on, and that the Cat Park and Ride parking lot is on. So anyway, just some things I found in the minutes as I was trying to figure out why we own State Street lot. Mhm.
I'm sure that was entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay, any items from the members today?
Say best of luck to Will, champion that you are. You will sway ODOT with your charms, make their lives easier.
I hope so. Okay, well, if there's nothing from anybody, then the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.